Hello all. What I'm working on today is creating a clipping mask. What we want to do is to export this image as a JPEG. And if we export as a JPEG right now, we would have these elements of our image bleed out past what we want as the document size, which is 800 by 600 pixels. We want all these elements to be contained inside of our artboard document size. So the way we do that is to create a clipping mask. The clipping mask masks out the things that would be outside of this box, and so when we do export it, it just has the interior elements inside the true document size. To do that, we're going to go to our layers level, and we'll see if we get that to show up where it says layers, but it's this icon right here. So I click the layers. So this is layers there. Click that, and I have these layers, and these are the layers that make up my image. So I'll turn those back on just so you see that. And I'm going to go to this top layer, and I'm going to create a new layer. On this new layer, I am going to hide this box the other way. Come back over to the rectangle tool. I want to use the rectangle tool to make my clipping mask, so I'll start with that. So I'm going to choose the rectangle tool. Let's see, get it to sign it. Rectangle tool right there. And I want to come to the corner of our of our document size right here, and I'm going to double click when I have that positioned over the corner, and it brings up this dialog box. And I had typed this in earlier, but the width of the dialog of the document size is 800 by 600. So if I hit OK here, it's created this rectangle over my image. Now the rectangle is created with a white fill and has a black stroke, and the black stroke is 1 point weight, so very thin stroke weight on there. Now to create a clipping mask, I do not want any colors there. So with this being selected, which it is, I'm going to go to my my fill color, and change that to none, so it has no stroke, no fill. So the white went away there. Then I'm going to come to my stroke color, come over here to none, the white with the no bar going through it, so there's no lines there. So this layer is still selected, but to double check that, I can go to my layers level. It's on this layer. I select this layer here, so I have it selected. I'm going to go to Object, Compound Path, Make. So this compound path is going to let me see through this clipping mask I'm going to make. So I'm going to choose Compound Path, Make. And this is doing it just for the one layer of that rectangle I just drew that is invisible, so to speak, no fill and no stroke. So I click Make here. I'm going to close this. Now this is still selected, so now what I'm going to do is select all of my elements. So I'm going to come back to my selection tool, come up here, marquee around all this, and select everything. So I've selected all the elements that make up the design, and also that rectangle mask box that I just created. So with everything selected, I'm going back up to Object, and I'm going to come down to Clipping Mask, Make. And I'm going to choose that. And what that's done is hitting everything that was outside of that rectangle I made. So the rectangle itself is transparent, but anything that was outside the rectangle kind of made it opaque, so it covers it up. So we're only seeing what's inside of that rectangle. So now the next step, I want to export this as a JPEG. And the way to do that, I'm going to go to File, Export. So you can't do a file save as to create a JPEG. You need to go to File, Export. So File, Export. And where I'm going to save it, I'll put it on my desktop. And we'll just call this symbol, JPEG symbol. And we have that there. So that's on my desktop there. And right now the format says PNG. I want to change that to a JPEG. So I go down to my format drop down, go to JPEG, and it's going to be that. I'm going to take out this dot SA. So it says JPEG symbol.jpg, and that's what I'll be saving this file as. And or exporting this file as. So I'm going to choose export. And it gives my choices. I want to make it RGB. CMYK is good for when you're doing print, but if everything's staying in the screen world where you're looking at it on the computer, RGB is a good way to go. I'm going to make it the largest file size so it has the best resolution to it. These baseline standard. The resolution here, I always go with 150. If you're going to print, 300 is better, but for keeping things on a video screen, the computer screen, 150 pixels per inch, PPI, works great. Anti-alias, time optimized, hinted, so that's good. So we have that. So the baseline and that. So these are good. Things you may change in here is the resolution. The choices you would have is 72, 150, 300. You could type in your own if you want to go higher. I'm going to stay with the 150. So I have that. Larger file, 10 is the maximum in Illustrator. When we're exporting out, we hit OK. And so it's exported it out. Come back down here, and I have that image is right here. And there it is. So you see that it's came out to this size. The artboard is trimmed. We're not seeing anything extruding out past the size of our intended document. So that's how you create a clipping mask and how you export a JPEG.